Hey guys, welcome back to another Rocitizens video. Today I'm just going to be making things that I've built in my different builds. People always ask how to do them, and so most of the time I just build it for them. But I wanted to make a video on how to do it so that a lot of other people can learn how to do them too. I did a lot. So first we have this cabinet that I built, and I put it in my Victorian home that I did. And this one girl asked me if I like how to do it, and so I told her, but you just need the industrial door, and then I make it the smallest that it can go. You can do it however you want, but I just like it being smaller. And then in pretty much every single build that I'm going to do, you're going to need a block. And so you just put it right up against the wall. And then you make it as small as it can go as well. Then you want to just pull it out as far as you want it. And then your door will be in front of it. So you can just put it however far you need it or want it to be. And then you also want to make the door frame and the block the same material and color. For this one I used the slate tile, which was probably the worst one to do because on the door and the block it didn't line up. So probably don't use that one. But yeah. Yeah, they don't line up and it gets me really annoying. And then you just want to bring it as tall as the door frame. And then you get a second door, and you want to have your collisions turned off, and then you put both of the frames right inside of each other, which the slate actually was kind of good for showing that. You can see where it's darker, they're both intersected. And then the doors, if you flip them, it'll do this. And so it said -100, I just put the opposite, which is 100, and then it should face the way that I want it to. Then you take the one block, you put it on the other side just to close it off. And then you don't have to put one in the middle. I usually don't. I don't know why I did this time. Yeah, it messed up things a little bit further on. And then you want to take your block again and make it to the size of the floor or the gap in between both of the other blocks. See, this is where the block in the middle kind of messes it up. Yeah, you just want to make it perfect to where it covers up mostly everything. And then I bring it to where it's just in front of the door frame so that whenever it is opened or closed, it doesn't mess with anything. And yeah, so then you just have to do it again for as many shelves as you want. Usually for this shelf, I just used it to put like cooking stuff in. Like plates and bowls, cups, and one I used like just half, so I only used one door, and I made like a spice cabinet. It was pretty cute. Yeah, so you just do as many shelves as you want, and then you also have to have one that goes on top, but if you have other cabinets that are going to be on top of it, you don't have to put a block on top, but because I don't have any, I just wanted to cover it. And that's pretty much it for that cabinet. And I love that the doors can be open because they're actual doors. This one, the wall paneling, I use in a lot of my builds because I build 60s and 70s, and obviously paneling is that kind of era and style. But so you just take whatever block, and then you want your wall and the block to be slightly different. The color that I used was pine cone for the wall, and then I took the pine cone color and I just made it a little bit lighter for the blocks. But then I make them as thin as they can go, and then I make it two across, two like little blocks across, and then you just make it to the height of your wall. And that's pretty much how to make the panels. But then you can put them also as far away from each other as you want. Mine's always different. Like these two examples are different from each other. And then you just keep placing them all over the wall or over just a small part of the wall. So that's pretty much it for the wall paneling. Next is these tables that I came up with. So you need, both of these are seats, which I think they're called ottomans, but I can never remember that. And so I like using the cube ottoman more than I do the circle one, just because I like the way that it looks. But I'll also put this in my 70s house, just because I think like it fits that vibe. I love the new sorting option for buying stuff. It's really cool. So you take your block, you make it whatever pattern color first, and then I'll put it in the middle of the block or close to the edge where I want it, and then I just extend it to where it's the same on the other side. Then you want it to just be a little bit bigger than the ottoman on one side, and then you want it to be also just a little bit taller, and then it just wraps around it and it looks really cool. And that's literally it. It's so easy, but it's so cute and I love doing it. Next is this circle one, which I've only used I think once, and it was in, I'm trying to remember. I think it was in my modern bungalow house, but pretty much you just do the same thing as the square one. I mean, it still looks cute, and I just really like the cube one better. I'm showing all the angles for some reason. But yeah. Okay, so the tub tray. So you can also do it with shelves. You can use blocks and put shelves on it, but I just like using blocks because it's so much easier. So again, make it whatever color you want it. And then you'll need a block, obviously. And so first you put it wherever you think you want to put the tray, and then you make it pretty small. You can make it as thick or small as you want it to be. I just did mine thin because, yeah. So you make it just a little bit taller than the tub as well. And then you take your second block and you make it small, like flat like that. And then you want it to be just a little bit wider than the tub so that you can put your other block on the other side to make it look like it's like, I don't know, on the tub, I guess. And then you can decorate it however you want on top. Okay, so then for the little bar of soap, I use a block. And you can make it whatever color you want. And then I make it as flat as I can, and then I make it a 2x3. You can really do whatever size you want, but this is just the one that I do all the time because I think it's the perfect size. Okay, so next is this bed. I did it in one of my houses, my 70s one. Oh my gosh, I forgot that happened. Yeah, she just decided to drive through my plot. That's okay. So you're gonna need the queen bed, specifically this queen bed that is $790, $80. Yeah. So you can make it whatever color, but then you also need this couch specifically as well. This neon green. And you want to have it to where just like the little legs are kind of popping out at the front. And then you can scale it a little bit to where it's not too wide or wider on one side than it is the other. Yeah, and then make it whatever color. I'm just doing orange for most of the examples just to show the difference. But you want to make sure to have the bed frame as like a wood color, like a brown. And then you take the bed and you put it on the other side. I think I saw a bed like this in a Pinterest picture, and that's why I tried to do it myself. But then you take that couch again and you duplicate it onto the other side. And that part's super simple and easy. I mean, that didn't take me very long. And now you need blocks. So you want to make it about the same size as the legs that are already there. And then you want it to be just lined up to where, that little blue line is, right kind of by my feet. You want the block to be just at that. And then you space them out however far you want them to be. And then you just keep doing that. It's kind of like the wall paneling, just as the, what is it, a footboard? No, I don't know. Most of my projects are pretty tedious stuff. Yeah. And then you take another block, you put it on top, you scale it down to the smallest, or even just one thicker, and you bring it across. And that's pretty much the whole bed for that. That's pretty simple and easy. Yep. And then this one is one I actually saw in a Pinterest post or picture, I know that for sure. But so you take this bed specifically, and then blocks again. So first you want to lift the bed up. So you can do it however high you want. I did it too high this first time. That is way too tall of a bed. Just bring it however tall you want it to be. And then you take the block, and I made it a 2x2 little tower. And then you want to make the bed frame again, the wood, same color as what you're going to make the frame as. So then you put them at the corner, and you can kind of see like the boxes. You want to put it right at the where the frame ends. Oh, you can see better now because it's nighttime. And then, so yeah, you do it all around, and then you take your block again, and you want to make it the same height as ours, but then you want it to be right where the little like square frame around it, so that it covers the other feet. Yeah. And that's pretty much it for that bed. But it's pretty cute, and it's just a little bit off the ground. And then also you can make the feet just like a little bit bigger, so it adds a little bit more character. I don't know. I thought it was cuter. Okay, so now the pool balls. So you just need any pool table. There's only 2. One of them's a limited, so I don't know how many people have this. But so you want to have a block, and you want it to be right underneath the green, just like that. And then you take another block, and you make it the color of pool balls. And this one I did a little bit smaller one than my example, which was fine. The other one was a 3x3, and this one's a 2x2. But you can do whatever size. And then you just I just made the whole rainbow. And then you can place them wherever, make it random. Yeah, so you just place them wherever you want. I didn't want to make it look like they were doing anything. And then also, don't forget to do the black and white cue ball. Well, black and white pool balls. The 8 ball and the cue ball. Those ones are pretty important. And then for the pool cue, which is the stick, I couldn't grab the block for some reason. It was being annoying. Oh wait, no, I'm doing the triangle. So the triangle, I just made the wood blocks as small as they could go, and then I just put them in the shape of a triangle. And whenever you're doing that, you want your turning angle to be on 5 so that you can really like make it the size that you want. And here I was having trouble picking it up for some reason. It was being really annoying. But yeah, so now for the pool cue, it's pretty much the same as the triangle except longer. And then yeah, you can make it whatever color. And then you put another one right at the end, and then you make it small, and then make it just a different color or a different shade of brown. And that's pretty much it for that one. Oh, I went straight to the back. Okay. So this one I came up with myself as well. But you have to do these washing and dryer machines specifically. Because it doesn't work with the other ones. But you want to put them right next to each other, right where their like lines touch. And then make them whatever color you want. And then you take the block and you put it right at the edge of their like squares as well. And then you want it to be kind of thin to where you can't see it through the circle. And then you also want it to curve just a little bit. Like, so you can kind of see the curve of it on the top of them. That's how you want it to be. Then you take another block and you put it on top. Yeah. So it looks like that. And you can do it in the woven wood pattern as well. I like putting this this half circle rug on the front of it. And then the tissue boxes, I make them kind of look like, dryer sheets. There we go. And then those I thought could look like dryer balls. And then I put one of those to make it like detergent, kind of, and make it a bright color. Next is the chairs with stuff. So in the example, I actually used the like oriental, what is it? It's like a limited chair, but it's like in the oriental stuff. I love that one. I love the way that it looks. But for this example, for the one that I did, I wanted to show that you could do it with like a different chair. And sometimes you might have to use a wall close by to get it right where you want it to be. And then you can just put towels and whatever else you want. I put a little soap bar, towels, and then I'll also put a soap dispenser to look like shampoo. So I'm actually gonna have to break this up into a couple parts because this video is already getting long. But I do have more things, and then also in a different part I show how I help somebody else do them. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll definitely be making the other parts soon. So yeah, hope you enjoyed.